right, I get asked this question a lot. Where do you come up with the names of your characters? So for the picture books, it's been pretty easy because it's mama and daddy, and that's pretty standard. But for the novels, it can get a bit tricky. But for me, honestly, my characters name themselves. The names just sort of come to me as an epiphany, and all of a sudden it's like, that's the name. Now, I will say I have been an educator since I have graduated college, so I have 20 plus years of names swimming around in my head. And so if I have an antagonist or villain in a story, I do not name those characters the same name of any student I have ever taught, because I don't want anybody to come away with that idea. So if it's a villain or antagonist, generally it's a name that I have absolutely no relationship with.
It's my belief that if you give your character a name that causes the reader to think, yeah, of course, this person in this story is the only one who can do this thing that they're trying to do, just because of how you've named them, then you already have a chosen one story without the overdone chosen one trope. The way I do that is I like to research the root meanings of names so my character has a name that perfectly fits what they are trying to do in the story. For instance, I had a story about a superhero in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's state animal is the badger, so I researched and found the British name Brock, which means badger. Or I choose names to fit the character or their personality. My protagonist in 6th grade Secret Service, Abraham Truman, is named after Presidents Abraham Lincoln and Harry S. Truman, because these historical figures bring about thoughts of strong, honest leaders who weren't afraid to do the hard thing.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Stegman, author of Summer of Luck and Ready or Not. These are two books in my middle grade Summer of Luck trilogy. The third book, which is called The Chamber of Nautilus, comes out next spring. Today's question is, how do I get my names for characters in my books? And I'm excited to answer this question because it's a very creative process and it's a lot of fun. You can make your names be anything you want in your books. The one thing I try to be careful about is to not have too many names that start with the same letter. For example, in Summer of Luck, I have one of the main characters, this young lady right here, is named Darby, and that starts with a D. And the owner of the camp where the book takes place is named Donna, so that's a second D. And then the first version of Summer of Luck had a character who was a cabin mate of Justin's, who's this young man right here, and his name was Dwight. That's 3 Ds. Well, that was 1 D too many, so I had to change Dwight's name to Eugene, and I still miss Dwight. I love having that name in my book, but I couldn't make that happen. Actually, in The Chamber of Nautilus, the third book, there is a reference to a character named Dwight, but it's very random and sort of in the end of the book. Anyway, the other way that I come up with names, or the way that I think about what name fits the character that I have. I look in online lists of kids' names or names, and those are really helpful. I start making lists of the ones I'd like to use, and then I slot them in as it fits the character. I'm working on a new book, or I wrote another book after the Summer of Luck trilogy, and that one is all done. But the book I'm working on now, my 5th book, just starting, and there's a character in it who helps the family in the book is a father and a daughter, and they have an assistant who helps them run the household and run the business and all those things. And wanted to name her something that spoke to me of somebody that was like not part of the family, but part of the family. And I remembered when I used to read the Nancy Drew books when I was a kid, and they had a woman like that, and her name was Hannah. And I decided my character in my book is going to be named Hannah. And that's where I got that idea, because that character in the Nancy Drew book, the Hannah character, reminded me of the role that this woman plays in my book's family. So those are some of my thoughts about how I think of names for my characters. And I'd love to know what you do when you're coming up with your stories. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Hi again. Question number 4. How do you come up with the names for your characters? Do you have any tips for kids who want to create their own character names? I really struggle with this. I think this might be the hardest part of my writing process. I just feel like I have no creativity when it comes to names. Usually the names change several times. I don't even know how I come up with them. I just play around with different names that kind of seem like the character, or seem like the emotions, or seem like what they're going through. I wish I had a tip. I just don't. I just know that mine changes many, many times before I finally find a name that I think fits.
This character would have to be Langley Hobbs. He is part of the team of friends in 6th grade Secret Service who's helping the main character, Abraham Truman, find the missing student president. The reason I'd like to meet Langley is because since he and his dad are janitors in Washington, D.C., they tend to find things that Secret Service agents of world leaders and spies have accidentally left behind. If I got to meet Langley, I bet I could convince him to part with a couple of his little gadgets he finds, so I'd have something to hold while I'm humming the Bond and Mission Impossible theme songs.